Okay, week 4, language arts, distance learning. What do we have here? We finished up last week looking at that Popocatépetl and Isla Cihuatl. We were looking at legends last week. Remember, legends taught us the values that cultures have, things that could be historically true, and then maybe the creation story or explanation of how something came to be, right? Like the two mountains, why is one smoking and the other looks like a woman laying down. So kind of a sad story last week, but a really good one, right? This week, we've got a myth. We're moving on. A different type of folklore, which we'll look at what is folklore. But mythology is another type of folklore. Today we'll look at the elements of a myth and plot diagrams. Should be just a little review for us there. And this week is not a happy story either. This is about a kid that doesn't follow directions and suffers. So let's see. What are we going to do today? Today we're going to open up the assignment link that will bring you to your week's assignment here on mythology and folklore. Today we're going to be doing a presentation and then watching a short video. You're going to answer these questions. What's the definition of a myth? What sorts of things do myths teach or explain? What are some characteristics of myths? And what are some myths that you have read before? I'm sure you've read a myth before. And do you remember these myths explaining anything in nature? If so, explain. What did they explain that happened in nature? And then the last part is on the plotline diagram. We looked at this before when you were writing your personal narrative and so on. Take a look at these 5 steps. I want you to label the 5 steps of the plot diagram. What's the name of them? And generally, it can be pretty brief. What happens at each stage in a story? Okay. So, and this right here, step 1, exposition. This little video is pretty short and it goes through every single step. And it's just like step 1, exposition, and then explains what happens. So you can just summarize this and put it into that sheet, okay? So this definitely goes over each of the 5 in order. So let's go back to the myth part. We're going to try something new. I embedded a presentation in here, which I think is pretty cool. I hope you're going to like it. So learning about elements of mythology, like we had legends. The way this works, you start it, you press the button to start it, and then this moves you forward, and you could expand it. Whoa. that was too big. It went beyond my little video capture thing here. Anyway, expand it if you want. You move forward pressing the arrows, and like the definition of a myth, that's the first question. Just summarize that. It tells you that. And then as you move forward with it, clicking on the arrows, it takes you to through the presentation, okay? At one point in here, there's a 3 or 4 minute video, I believe, and then it continues on. Okay, so the elements of a myth, and then the parts of a plot diagram. That's what we're going to work on today. Tomorrow we'll start reading the actual myth itself, Phaethon, kid who did not follow directions. Okay, have a great Monday, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.